It's October 17th, 2011, and tonight I think it would be appropriate to talk about the 99 percenters in Occupy Wall Street. I think there are some people that are truly dumbfounded by what's happening all across the world right now. That started with Occupy Wall Street in the United States. But I think there are an equal group of people that fully understand what's happening, and yet they don't know what to do about it. So I have some thoughts on why it's occurring, and I think it boils down to two things. First of all, I've always jokingly said that the first law of the universe is it's always about the money. Now, that's for a skeptic. Unfortunately, it seems to be the way that that's going. Man, it shouldn't. And the other thing is in the United States, a loaf of bread costs approximately $2. You can buy it for a little less, and depending on what kind of bread you get, it might cost a little more. So there you have a disparity in, if you want to call it wages, what you earn, how you're paid, between a person that buys a loaf of bread that makes minimum wage and a person that buys a loaf of bread that's a billionaire. That loaf of bread represents a larger portion of the minimum wage earner's income than the billionaire. I certainly can tell you at my age and having grown up over the last 40 years that truthfully, wages have stagnated. And I think that as you build an engine and then you get it to run, and then over time the fact that it runs is not good enough, then you start developing ways to get more performance out of it. And then you learn how to do that. And then you learn how to tweak it until you get every last drop of performance out of it. And I think that's what's happened to the U.S. economy over the last 30 years at least, is as corporations get larger, their accounting departments and the people in management have found ways to extract every unnecessary drop, talking money here, everything that doesn't absolutely have to be left at a lower level, and it starts funneling upward. And it eventually ends up, if it's a corporation, on Wall Street. Now, I learned in the first year of business school about M1, the money supply. Let's suppose that there's a finite pool of money. We know that it's not, but there's a relative amount of money. It appears that that pool has been dammed, and that the 1% are those that damned it. So there's a large pool of wealth being controlled and for the use and benefit of exclusively very few people. And it may not just be the United States, it might be other countries too. And going back to the first law of the universe, it's always about the money. I mean, basically we're talking about greed. And whether you agree with this or not, I think everyone, that most people know right from wrong. And you know in here when you've done something wrong, or if you've done something that's not necessarily right. And I apply it this way. How big a house does someone need? 1,000, 2,000 square feet? 5,000? 10,000 square feet? There's a point at which, and I've read that a lot of people that are in banking and finance, etc., that it's not about the money, it's about the game of it. Well, and certainly there's peer pressure. If my colleague over here or my competitor is making X, then I've got to make X plus one, or I'm not a man, or I'm not fit for my job, etc. And I understand that, but it's not right. Because that pool of money, in order for an economy or a country to benefit, everyone needs to be able to play in the pool. And if the pool is dammed off for the benefit of the very few, you've got everyone else trudging along in a desert. Now, there are so many avenues and branches of things to talk about that are germane to this 99% and the Occupy Wall Street. And certainly it's a topic of discussion where I work a lot. And it's not that these companies aren't making very good profits. But the profit, the company's saying, well, our number one objective is to take care of our stockholders. Well, over 60% of the stock in the United States, as I understand it from what I've read, is owned by very few people, or a small group of people. So it's not for the benefit of most people. The stockholders are the few people. So once again, you've got this large pool of money for the benefit of the very few.